going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. Make sure to like and subscribe out there on YouTube and rate the show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. We are so close to getting that giveaway, the 58 jersey for Darnell Wright. Just go out to Apple Podcasts and rate the show 5 stars. But how are we doing? Today is one of my favorite shows that we do, and that is the reward show, the award show where we basically break down and give out unbearable awards to everyone in the Chicago Bears. And what I love about this is we just get to have fun with it. We just get to talk about our most improved rookie of the year, Brent Urban Award, Cody Parky Award, all sorts of different awards. If you haven't seen one of these shows, you're in store. You're in store for some good luck. And if you're out there on YouTube, you can also comment down below what you want to see. Also, Broski already smashed the like button. People watching now live and people watching later, make sure to hit that like button. We have a jam-packed show to break this all down. And also this year, I'm not rocking the bow tie. I totally forgot about that. Normally I dress up, but for this award show, just going to keep it a little casual. But let's get into this, shall we? So the first award, Most Improved Chicago Bear. So the Most Improved Chicago Bear, obviously, as it says, who is the person that improved the most from the 2022 season to the 2023 season? So for those watching, let me know in the comments what you believe. But to me, I had to look all the way back when PayPal and I were doing the show. What did we both have for our predictions? So we always give our predictions at the beginning of the year. And who do we think was the most improved Bear? And also let me know what you think as well. Who did you think is the most improved Chicago Bear of 2023? So what I see is I think Kyler is still up there for most improved because of what he's been, obviously what he was able to do. He was a very, very good piece for the Chicago Bears this year. But I'm also looking, I agree with what Joe's talking about there. Maybe it's Jalen Johnson, because Jalen came in as one of a good corner, but ultimately became one of the best corners out there. So to me, I like Jalen. I like Kyler. Braxton Jones, that's an interesting one from Broski, because I do think that Braxton has gotten better. And I think that he's flown under the radar and been criminally underrated by a lot of people, especially since you look at the grades, you look at the ratings of a lot of different, like ESPN. Braxton Jones is usually one of the top tackles in the league, actually. So that's that. I like that one as well. Someone else, maybe Justin Fields, if people really like that. I don't really see that because I expected a little bit more out of him. But yeah, as I'm looking at the Bears roster, there's a lot of rookies out there that, not necessarily improved. The running back position, no one really out there. Wide receivers, not so much. Cole Kmet actually is a pretty good one. Cole Kmet has been solid. Yeah, and I agree with Broski. Justin was kind of the same Justin from the most improved perspective. But yeah, I think it really boils down to the corners. I think Brisker played a little bit better down the road. Linebackers, I don't think anyone necessarily took a step. Justin Jones went from being bad to being not great. So yeah, I think Kmet, in my opinion, Kmet, Kyler, Jalen Johnson. Oh, but to me, I think ultimately what I'm going to go with is my personal one that I'm going to go with is Jalen Johnson, though. I'm going to give it to Jalen because Jalen was good and he just became the best corner in the league. That's where I think, yeah, and I agree with Joe. Joe and I just agreed, right? Like he went from mid to all pro. That's a great way to put it. Like he really did. He went to being one of the best corners in the entire league this year. And the only reason why I think Kyler is a really close second is Kyler went from people were talking about writing Kyler Gordon off. That why I was looking back at some old tweets and people were saying Kyler Gordon shouldn't be on the team. Kyler Gordon's trash. And then Kyler Gordon really stepped up and was really good. But yeah, Jalen really showed what he was in this league. So first award, most improved player, Jalen Johnson, lock it up. That is the most improved player for the Chicago Bears. So let's move on to the next one where there's also a bunch of candidates out there. Also, I need to know how to do polls in YouTube. I should know how to do that. I don't think I can do it in my streaming service, but I need to double check that. But let's go to Rookie of the Year. And Rookie of the Year, I think awesomely, we have a lot of rookies that are up for Rookie of the Year this year. So just kind of going down the list. So last year, PayPal and I thought Tyreek Stevenson was my prediction at the beginning of the year. And then PayPal went with Darnell Wright as the Rookie of the Year at the very beginning of the year. And I'm actually also going to move my face over here to the top right so you can actually see what the award is. So I'm just going to move that around real quick. So Rookie of the Year. Joe's already out there saying Tyreek Stevenson. So just recap some of the rookies. Darnell Wright, solid right tackle for the Chicago Bears. Gervon Dexter had a pretty good season, had a handful of sacks, where as a defensive tackle, you're not expected to get that many sacks. Then you have a Zach Pickens. Not so much with Pickens. Tyreek Stevenson started for the Bears, obviously. Terrell Smith filled in admirably. Roschon Johnson played well, and we can also throw in Tyson Bagent. But to me, when I look at this list for the Rookie of the Year, I kind of lean towards Joe. I kind of agree. I think ultimately, I don't think Terrell Smith, I think Roschon was good, but I don't think he would be the defensive play or like the Rookie of the Year. And Gervon Dexter, same thing. I think it's up to Darnell Wright and Tyreek Stevenson for just the amount that they played. And I'm curious anyone else's thoughts, but I think ultimately it's going to be Tyreek Stevenson. I think that Darnell Wright, he's shown a lot of promise, but I don't think this year he was amazing, right? He's a rookie. But I think Tyreek Stevenson, especially at the end, really became something special, really became something that us Bears fans can hang our hat on. And he looked darn good out there. So I don't know, unless anyone else has some key points to make. And also those watching out there on YouTube later on, let me know who you think. I'm going to go with Stevenson. Yeah. And Broski out there too, just confirming it. I think ultimately it's Stevenson. I think Tyreek takes it because of especially the end of the year. He was the constant starter, played practically every single game for the Chicago Bears as a starting cornerback. Didn't play like elite play, but showed all the things that you want out of a starter for rookie. So there you have it. Tyreek Stevenson getting the Rookie of the Year from Unbearable Sports. But let's go on to some of the more fun awards. Let's go over to the Brent Urban Award. And also Patrick out there saying Stevenson, all caps, just confirming it, putting the icing on the cake with that. So the Brent Urban Award, for those new to the show, you might be like, what? And some people might not even remember who Brent Urban was. So Brent Urban was the guy that was the defensive lineman that for the Bears in the, I think, 2018 or 2019 season. And every time he'd make a play, he would just play the guitar. And he was always kind of come up in big situations and was really this under-the-radar player that you don't really expect, kind of like our X Factors that we do in our pregame show. Someone who is under the radar that seems to come up with a big play when you need it, or someone that just kind of contributes just at the right time. And when I think about that, someone that I want to nominate, because this is kind of difficult for some of the nominations, right? Because it's, well, what the heck is a Brent Urban Award, right? One that sticks, a couple people that stick out is, so at the beginning of the year, I was thinking Mercedes Lewis because of just him being a veteran, and he has contributed well, and PayPal thought Velus Jones. Now, Velus obviously did not really do too much, so that was that wasn't a great prediction, but, Velus was Velus, and we were hoping that Velus would do something. But this year, or right now, after the years pass, I still think Tanyan and Lewis, Tanyan towards the end of the year, potentially. Lewis made some key blocks. Someone that I want to nominate is Deonta Foreman, because you didn't expect much out of him, but then he comes in and all of a sudden he's freaking doesn't miss a step and just starts running people over and destroying people. So I want to nominate Deonta Foreman, but also two other players that I think are criminally underrated with what the Bears did this season. Number one, we just talked about him, Terrell Smith. I'm actually going to nominate him for the Brent Urban Award because we didn't even see him out there. Like, you saw him. He actually played snaps and he was out there with the team. But you always forgot that he was out there because when Terrell Smith was playing as the starting corner, the guy was doing well. The guy was making some pretty big plays out there. So that's where, to me, I think that Terrell Smith was very under the radar, played some good stuff. Joe's nominating Justin Jones, Patrick saying Edwards. Yeah, Edwards was balling. Edwards was very good. I'm curious if he almost was too good for the Brent Urban Award. Like, he was straight balling out there. But then also another person that I want to nominate in the spirit of the Brent Urban Award, someone who did not get enough credit, Andrew Billings. I think he did not get enough credit for what he did to stuff the run on the defense. He was their best pass rusher for about until Montez Sweat came about, and he was also the best run stuffer, and he constantly played great down in, down out production at the defensive line, and everyone forgot about him. And I think that's where it's like that to me, when I was thinking about that, I'm like, Terrell Smith, people just forget about, and Billings, people just forgot about that, how much he contributed to this team, but never got the credit. And also Broski saying out there too, nominating Braxton Jones for this too. Didn't hear his name. I agree. And also there's a lot of people calling for Braxton's head. Or like saying, we need a left tackle, but Braxton Jones was playing fine for a lot of the year. Now, I'm not going to tell you he looked like an all-pro, but I'll tell you that he looked very fine and he looked very good. But yeah, TJ Edwards, we're getting out there. And yeah, I think to me, I'm looking out there. I think Edwards to me is more of a defensive player of the year, potentially because of just how good he was. But also, actually in that same spirit, the dude didn't make the Pro Bowl and he had some of the best stats out there. That's another piece too, is he was freakishly good. So I think the official nominations, Terrell Smith, Billings, and Edwards. Let's see. I think though, in the spirit of the Brent Urban Award, and when you think about under the radar players, I'm going to keep it with the defensive line. Andrew Billings is going to be the Brent Urban Award winner. He was so under the radar. People forgot about him. And I don't like doing that with TJ Edwards, but yeah, let me know down below, is Andrew Billings the right choice or not? And I see Broski out there. Billings is a really good choice for this one. The leader of the D. Yeah. When they sucked, he was the guy that was kind of holding them together. And then Montez Sweat comes in and looks great and just dominated and played phenomenally. So yeah, so far, making some good choices. I do have to agree. I think that it's been pretty darn good. I also need to write these down just so that at the end I can kind of break these all out. But I think we've been doing pretty darn well with these. But let's go to the next one, which is, yeah, and Joe's saying too, yeah, played good. He got extended. He made his money. And also, we're hardly paying him for someone that's going to be a good, solid piece for this team moving forward. But let's go to the next award, the Cody Parky Award. And for those listening, I wish you could see this award. It is a gigantic turd, which is for the great Cody Parky. This is the award we give out to the most disappointing player for the Chicago Bears in 2023. Not all the awards are going to be happy, but this is like an airing of grievances at the end of the year where we can just let it out, right? And let me know, who are the people on this Bears team that just pissed you off, just like Cody Parky, who makes you irate. And yes, for those watching too, I don't pay for the premium version of Canva. So yeah, we have the watermarked versions of these icons. So the Cody Parky Award. Someone that was super, super disappointing for you. So when I think about someone who was just incredibly disappointing at the very beginning of the year, both PayPal and I agreed. We both thought that the most disappointing player would be Rasheem Green because he was starting and he was just going to be trash. And I mean, he still didn't play well, but also he wasn't good. So Rasheem Green is still a candidate. And there's too many because as I'm thinking about this line, there's Rasheem Green who didn't play well, but I don't think he was like disappointing, right? We kind of knew that he wasn't going to do anything. Dominique Robinson was really bad. And he was also disappointing. God, now this is just going to be an airing of grievances. We got Joe saying Mooney. Oh man, was Mooney I love Darnell Mooney. And what he did this year was incredibly disappointing. Broski saying Fields, and Fields. Joe saying Tyler Scott. Patrick saying Valus. Like the wide receivers. Like, why were the wide receivers so disappointing this year? That's why Tyke Tolbert got fired. Yeah, and King James saying Valus or Fields. And Broski saying, hi, I'm Justin Fields. I still haven't thrown for 2,600 yards in the season. And I said I was going to throw for over 4,000. And Patrick, good point. Yannick Ngakoue. Yeah, I was so hyped about that, even though that I was like, well, he doesn't do too much. But it's like, when he signed, it was like, heck yeah. Oh, Getsy. Getsy could just take that entire award himself. And like that looks like Getsy right there with the giant turd. So the other people that I had down, does anyone remember Chase Claypool? Chase Claypool, the guy that was blowing up training camp, the guy that I kept hearing that Chase Claypool was doing great in camp. Chase Claypool was looking good. Chase Claypool got traded. Chase Claypool did nothing for us. And that really made this team suffer with Chase Claypool not doing anything and literally leaving. One thing too is this is a slight disappointment. I was slightly disappointed in Khalil Herbert just because I wanted him to be that guy and block. He still ran it well, but it just was kind of frustrating, really, more so than disappointing because Khalil Herbert just didn't do great. But yeah, Patrick Claypool, right? King James, Getsy, and Eberloose, right? Yeah, they're definitely up there. Another person, two people that we haven't said out in the comments, Cody Whitehair and Nate Davis. Because remember, Whitehair was going to be the guy that we go, okay, we have a starting center. We have somebody that can start at center. And then all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I can't snap the ball. I can't do many blocking things either anymore. And then Cody Whitehair couldn't block for us. And then Nate Davis, our big prize free agent, he crapped the bed. He crapped the bed, exactly what this award is all about. And Nate Davis really only had a couple solid games, but besides that, just let people right by him. It just was highly, highly, highly disappointing, especially since you gave him a $10 million, $30 million a year deal over 3 years. And yeah, it just was sad. The only other thing that I wanted to at least bring up, I think that we had like Justin Jones, right? DeMarcus Walker could be seen as disappointing if you really, really liked DeMarcus Walker and really liked that signing and he only ended up with a couple sacks. I just want to call that out there. But besides that, I'm thinking about it. Or if you really want to get there, Tremaine Edmonds, all that money and just not really doing too well. But yeah, we just got to see what that is. And let me go through some of these. Yeah, Joe say we're trying to forget about Claypool. Broski saying Nate Davis might challenge Fields for this award. Yeah, Claypool was gone before middle of the season. That's where it's like, let me know in the comments, does Claypool count? Because he didn't end the season, but he was in the 2023 season. And Broski saying, I know you don't want to read this, Brad. Fields, 2,562 yards, 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and 61.4% completion. That is a huge it is disappointing. And also, speaking of disappointing, for the OGs out there that remember when I had this graphic, some people might have not seen this, but we had this joke that, okay, every subscriber that we get is another passing yard for Fields. We have 2,600 subscribers right now on YouTube. So to be honest, this actually was highly scarily accurate. Like, this was made as a joke, but it really ended up being super, super accurate because the number of yards Fields got was the number of subscribers we have. So we made it as a joke, but man, it was correct. All right, guys, we have to make a decision because I don't know about this one. I don't want to put Tyler Scott up there because he is a rookie. I think that he did have a lot of hype. I think Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool are up for the award because they were super disappointing. Fields was disappointing, right? Like, we did, a lot of people, the Fields fans out there, and I know that there's people that are about to hit the dislike because you go, don't you name him as most disappointing player. You have to say he didn't live up to your expectations. So don't hit that button. Hit the like button. But Nate Davis was also super, super disappointing. But yeah, bro, she's saying you have more subs than Fields passing yards. Yeah, I didn't want to. I didn't want that to be the truth, but sadly it is. And also, thank you everyone for the channel has been growing like crazy, and I really do appreciate it. So thank you for everyone that's out there. And then maybe when we reach 4,000, our quarterback will have 4,000. Oh gosh. And then King James saying Fields crucial turnovers late in game, blew 5 potential wins. All right, chat. Claypool or Nate Davis? What are we going with? Because I think Claypool or Nate Davis to me are the ones. I can't do Justin Fields. I can't do Justin Fields. It's I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. I think Claypool or Davis to me are the most disappointing because part of me just wants, I think Claypool might be the most disappointing because he just did nothing. Yeah, like Notorious TBG, you solidified it for me. I'm going Claypool because Nate Davis at least played. And he was out there, and yeah, Claypool, Joe's agreeing. We're going out there. Yeah, it's Chase Claypool. Chase Claypool, you didn't even finish the end of the season. You have been awarded the Cody Parky Award and also a first round exit for the Miami Dolphins playoff chances. So, and yes, broski, too many Justin Sexuals will go after you. That's correct. The number of dislikes I have for my video that has Caleb Williams as a Chicago Bear, that might be as many passing yards as Justin Fields has. That is a high number. It's a lot of dislikes on that video. I'll tell you that much right now. There is a huge divide amongst us fans. And let's just be real here. We just have to win. But let's go on to the final 3 awards that are out there. Let's go out to the offensive MVP. So the offensive MVP, my prediction at the beginning of the season was I was saying that the offensive MVP would go to DJ Moore. And Johnny PayPal, my former co-host, said Justin Fields. I think I know who gets this because I think that there's only like 3 actual candidates. I mean, kind of like Cole Kmet, Justin Fields, and DJ Moore. Like, that's kind of it because Tevin Jenkins was good, but he wasn't out there enough. And you didn't really have great play out of anybody. I think this one is easy. This is easy. This is DJ Moore. Like, I'd love to talk about this more and try to make it into a conversation. Yeah, it's DJ Moore. It's DJ Moore all day, every day. Like, so easy. DJ Moore, offensive MVP. I should have made that number 2 because, that's who won. It's not just number 1. That is exactly what it is. And also, broski, I did tell PayPal to go out there, to come out in the comments. So hopefully he ends up coming out here. Let me see if he does. But yeah, we'll see if he comes out here though. But yeah, unfortunately though, we should have the quarterback as the offensive MVP, but we're going with DJ Moore. He's just too freaking good. Let's go over to this one, though. Defensive MVP. And here's the thing, too. I wanted to keep this in because when I made this, I put good luck finding someone because the defense, we didn't expect it to be good. Or I kept this in because like last year when we did this award show, the 2022 defense was so bad. It was so painful for us to find someone that was out there. Like, it was so difficult to find a defensive player of the year. And for our defensive player of the years, our predictions for defensive player of the year, I said Yannick Ngakoue because I'm like, hey, we need someone my defense was we need someone to come off the edge and get sacks because if we don't have some with the young secondary, we need someone to get sacks. Little did I know a gentleman by Montez Sweat was going to come and absolutely wreck the defensive world. But on the other side, too, PayPal was thinking maybe Eddie Jackson at the beginning of the year, just as the leader in the backfield, in the secondary to bring them all together. I actually think that this is difficult, as I think that you look at all sections. I think that you have TJ Edwards, who is your best linebacker, who is a straight baller. You have Montez Sweat, had the Tez effect that absolutely wrecked. And then also Jalen Johnson, the best corner in the league right now. And Johnson was that guy. And that I think that's the big thing is Johnson was that guy even before Sweat arrived. Johnson was balling out, playing great, was playing like the best cornerback in the league. And we saw what happened when he left the game. When he left and when he was injured against the Packers, this defense looked completely different. But I'm looking out in the comments. We got Sweat from King James, Sweat from Joe, Broski nominating Billings, Sweat, Edwards, and JJ. King James saying Bears didn't have a D until Sweat arrived. Broski saying Eddie Jackson is washed up. Yeah, Eddie Jackson, yeah, peace out. Which I wish they would have done what, for those that listened last year, I brought up this crazy scenario where I was like, what if the Bears cut Eddie Jackson because he was making he makes a lot of money. And I'm like, what if they cut him and then signed Jesse Bates, who was the free agent, and they could have signed Jesse Bates to a cheaper deal than what Eddie Jackson was making. If only they did that, because they would be in a pretty darn good spot right now. But yeah, I think that this overall, it's Montez Sweat. I think that Montez Sweat seriously was just that guy on this defense. And Jalen Johnson, even though that he played like the best defensive back out there, was absolutely phenomenal. And also, I'll even shout out Kyler Gordon. I don't think he would be the MVP, but just the performance that he gave. Amazing. But you look at what Montez Sweat did, it's about the valuable player and the way that he transformed that defensive line when he was out there. This crappy defensive line, you bring in Montez Sweat, everybody got better. That's value. That is really kicking everything up. Montez Sweat, he is the defensive player of the year for our Chicago Bears. And now we go to my personal favorite award, and that is the favorite player of the show. The favorite player of the show, this can just be, who is your favorite player on the Chicago Bears? And also, this is the second straight year I forgot to update the text. It is not the most underrated. It is the favorite player of the Bears. Who is your favorite player, right? It can be DJ Moore. It doesn't have to be an under the radar person. Just who is your favorite? Like, when this person does something, you get off your seat, you get excited, you go crazy, even more when this player makes a play. PayPal and I, both our predictions was Roschon Johnson, because if you remember in the preseason, every time he'd smack a dude in the face, we would just go crazy. We would just go crazy like nonstop. So who is your favorite player? I have a couple. Tevin Jenkins is awesome. Tevin Jenkins is fun. Just wish he was out there more, right? He's got the Twitter presence. Cool guy. DJ Moore is just so much fun to watch. And also, my son, who's 3 years old, doesn't know much about football because he's 3, but he knows who DJ Moore is. And every time DJ Moore scores, he freaks the F out. And he just goes crazy. So I do love DJ. I love me some DJ Moore. But someone who has really caught my heartstrings is Cole Kmet. And I see Cole Kmet out there with King James, with Broski. Joe's got DJ Moore. Cole Kmet to me really spoke to me because just this Bears fan, right? We can all relate to this. He looks like one of us out there if we had supreme athletic talent, right? Like he's out there. He wants to smash the Packers. He wants to block on every play. I really like what Cole Kmet has done. Braxton Jones is another one that I like because I felt like he was so disrespected this year, and he's been such a good player for the Bears. Khalil Herbert I also enjoy, and Roshan Johnson I still enjoy. Montez Sweat, TJ Edwards, let's see, Jack Sanborn, Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon doing the Kyler man stuff, like super great stuff. But man, Brisker too is also another good one. Broski with Brisker at the end when he started doing this with everything and like quieting everything down. He's just got some swagger to him, man. But I think I know who my favorite is, right? And also those watching later on, let me know your favorite player. And this is kind of easy because normally when PayPal and I are on, last year we had to decide between the two of us who our favorite player was. And it was hard because we both liked Darnell Mooney. But Darnell Mooney ain't doing anything, right? But I think that my new favorite player, the person that I get up and cheer even more for, is Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet is now the favorite Chicago Bear of the show. Give it up to Cole Kmet because he's just, especially like he's playing injured. He's doing everything he can. And I think the thing that I think us Bears fans respect about him is that he doesn't want to go anywhere. And he wants to stay. He signed the deal. He wants, like you can tell, he just loves being here. So that's it. That is our award show for 2023. And just kind of going through this again, for those that missed it, might have jumped in a little bit later onto this, to the award show. Most improved player we gave to Jalen Johnson for his jump from being a solid player going to basically the best defensive player, the best corner in the league this year. Definitely deserved the most improved. Rookie of the year goes to Stevenson. Tyreek Stevenson played like a good corner towards the end of the year and edged out Darnell Wright because of just his plus play that he did play with. Darnell Wright still has a lot of promise. Brent Urban for the under the radar player, Andrew Billings, because some of you probably just went, oh crap, I totally forgot that we had Andrew Billings. He's good. That's exactly why he won the Brent Urban Award. Also, Cody Parky, Chase Claypool, because you also just had PTSD when we just said Chase Claypool. Offensive MVP, DJ frickin' Moore. Defensive MVP, Montez frickin' Sweat. And favorite player, Cole Kmet. Did we get this list right? I think this is pretty darn good. And I do agree, Joe. I love Cole Kmet on CHGO. That's another reason, too. Like, watching him on CHGO, he is just the most normal dude. Like, I know it's like, well, athletes are just regular people. No, Cole Kmet is a regular dude. He just does the show just because he's just a chill dude. And so, yeah, it's absolutely awesome. Broski's saying Kmet is also the guy you'd want your daughter to date. Yeah, he really is. He's just an awesome dude. He blocks, he smacks people in the face, he catches the ball. Had a great season as well. But there you have it. Another year and another award show in the books. Make sure to like and subscribe out there on YouTube if you haven't already. We have a bunch of awesome shows and content for you that I have all queued up. We're going to keep you up to date with what's going on with the Chicago Bears and get you ready for this offseason. And let's go with that. Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
got some nice long hair and you